So I just kind of want to. So I just wanted to kind of flip on the camera and talk for a bit. Um, Mostly just because the last few days I've been kind of just wandering and I guess pondering would be the word better used here, and just kind of thinking about where I'm going and what I'm doing with my life, and what kind of man I want to be and what I want to stand for as a man. You know what goals I've had for myself, and some that's changed, and some that I don't want to give up on. I want to keep working towards. And it just kind of left me in a weird place for the last couple of days of a lot of introspective thinking and a lot of up here in my head. And I really just been honing in on like people that I consider mentors in my life, and just really kind of absorbing their message, and trying to internalize what they're saying. I'll be 25 in a couple of weeks, and 25 is an interesting year for a man. I think for a lot of men, at least, because 25 in American society, especially, or American culture, I think 25 is typically that age where a lot of young men are, just graduating college. They've probably been out for a year, maybe two now, of in the workforce, and you know a lot of people are looking at you like you should have found a career. You should be working towards something. You should kind of be going into a steady job and a good paying job. A lot of times, people are kind of looking at you at that age. So I think for a lot of young men, it's scary. And I can say for the first, you know, I shouldn't say for the first time, but for the first time in a long time, I've actually really identified it in myself. A lot of fear going on right now for me personally, but also I'm an optimistic person, so I always see the daylight, and I always see the better side of things. So I'm also excited and not to reuse the word, but optimistic about the future, because in a lot of ways I think that I left a lot on the table as far as things I could have pursued and monetary gains potentially, but in that process of picking up things and putting them down, I've learned a lot about myself, and I've learned what I like and what I don't like, and there's still things I want to try and things I want to figure out, but ultimately I think this isn't a time for me to panic. And I think a lot of young men probably will be panicking around this time in their life. Some it may hit some of a few years later, a few years before, even sometime, depending on what your household was like and what they were pushing you towards. You know, a lot of times I gotta remind myself personally that where I'm at right now in life. Interestingly enough, by all accounts of like my family, my upbringing, I've actually, sorry, I've actually probably already hit the success button. For a lot of people in you know, my background in my life, you know, I, they don't really ever see themselves, working a steady job and having insurance and, paying their own bills without, a whole lot of, I don't got a whole lot of stress as far as like, my bills are typically paid on time, and, every now and then I have a moment where like I'm in a tight pinch for money, and, you know, that kind of sucks, but for the most part, all my needs are met, and even to the extent where I'm probably even overspending on a lot of things at the same time, such as food and different stuff like that. But that's all a quality of life thing, And me personally, I still have the kind of this nagging feeling in the back of my mind of being unfulfilled and really wanting more out of life. And I'm waking up and going to a job that I don't really like, and you know, I don't hate it every single day, but it's not what I want to be doing. It's not nowhere near me reaching my potential, or it's nowhere near me. At least what I think my potential is. Maybe it is, but it's nowhere near what I think I should be really doing with my life or doing myself. I think I had higher expectations for myself, and some of those have came down, and I've became a little more not. I hate to say realistic because I hate when people say it's not realistic to make $1 million or it's not realistic to get rich. I think those things are realistic. I just think that the amount of time, effort, and work that it takes, not everyone wants to put in. And that's where the realism comes in, is like, you know, I may not want to go for, you know, a millionaire because I might not want to put in 80 hours a week or, some crazy number of work hours, So, me personally, as I've gotten to understand myself, I know that there's times of like working hard and pushing and grinding, and there's going to be times for me where I need to relax and pull back and recharge. So I don't I don't I don't beat myself up about that. I don't I don't get angry at myself for, not always being in the go 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 mode that it might take to really become one of those high paid, you know, millionaire, CEO types. And I've started to kind of really understand what I want and the vision I have for my life, and over time, I've kind of recognized that, I want to do something that I really like to do day in and day out, and I also want to be able to have time to, be with my family eventually, that I want to start eventually, and be with my significant other, and build a life where that's possible, and where I can take time to do that and take downtime and rest. And right now I'm in this phase right now where I'm just kind of trying to cut out a lot of bullshit that I think is hindering me from pursuing that, and it's hindering me a little bit from being able to. Sorry, it's getting a little late here, so it's almost time for me to lay it down. But I thought I had to get this off my chest, though. Um, it's kind of hindering me from pursuing that life that I really want. There's a lot of fun things and stuff that I can do in my free time to just kind of waste time, and I think escapism and downtime is important, but at this time and place in my life, I really gotta pick and choose and be careful where I lay that at and what I do with that time, because it's so finite, and that the resource of time sometimes can that's a funny sentence to say, but sometimes can be abused. And this video itself is probably going to be a bit of a ramble, but ultimately I hope that trying to target young men my age, that 23 to 29 range, I think is so crucial for us, and not in the sense of like get out there, find a good job, because that's what your mom and dad would probably tell you to do. But I think it's more crucial to just kind of dial back and hone in on what it is that you are and what it is that you want to be. And if there's things that aren't helping you to get there, and there's certain behaviors or things that you did in the past that could be hindering you, I think it's important for you to start to kind of work past those and limit your time while in those activities. You know what I mean? Just kind of cut back on that. Focus more on what it is that you want to be doing. And for some people, this is not necessary, because some people are just, they're okay with their 9 to 5 and coming home, and they're super happy with that, and that's okay. You know what I mean? I'm happy for those people. But for the people that are, you know, young men and women, but I more so think I can speak more for men, just for the simple fact of, anecdotally, I just think that I got a better understanding, obviously, of what young men are feeling rather than young women, and maybe some women are feeling the same. But that nagging pressure of like, figure it out, become successful. I just think that young men, particularly, and women, I shouldn't say just young men, but I think, young people, I just keep saying young men because I personally realized that I haven't called myself a man enough times in my life. It's weird to grow up and say, damn, you're a grown man. It's weird when you say it out loud to yourself, like, damn. Like, you don't really ever, like, stop and think about that for a while. I don't know. It's just something different about just saying, hey, you're a grown man now. It's like you're taking care of your own bills, and you're managing your own life, and you don't have any other adults like coming in and checking on you and making sure you're okay. It's a weird period or a weird place that you're in. So I never got to go to college, so I didn't really ever have that experience. But I assume even in college, you have teachers and deans and someone to kind of answer to. And I mean, now I have my boss, obviously, but outside of that, it's an unusual place actually for me to, when I start to think about it and try to form words around how you feel about that situation is odd. So being there and being where I'm at now, I wanted to just say that, like, I think personally young men should take time to develop and really find out what they like and what they want to be and what they want to do with themselves before they just try to hop into a career or a job that is well paying so that they can, impress their friends or their girlfriend's family or some girl that they want to attract, because I think that leads to a lot of unhappiness and a lot of unfulfillment, and ultimately, like, could lead to a lot of other very detrimental things like suicide and a lot of really bad things that I don't even necessarily want to get into in this video. But I think I rambled for the last 15 minutes or so, and hopefully hit on a couple different things that I personally have been thinking about, and I assume that some other young men, young women potentially too, that are thinking about the same kinds of things, and put this out in the world. And just, even if no one watches anytime soon, I probably come back to this at one point in time in my life and, you know, see where I was at and listen to what I had to say, you know, listen to what young me was rambling about. Probably, yeah, man, I'll probably do another one of these in a couple weeks after my birthday and kind of, elaborate on where it is exactly that I think I'm going to be, you know, or I want to go, should I say, because that's something that I think will be a reoccurring, you know, thought pattern for me for the next few weeks. So with that, man, good luck if you're watching this, and don't rush. I don't think it's a hurry. I think if you're working a job, put some money away, pay off your debt. I think those are all good advice, and I don't think I'm an advice guy. I don't think I'm in a position to really give a whole lot of advice, but intuitively, I think those are the things that will help people, and I think ultimately that will be, you know, beneficial for anyone that could be watching. So, peace out, guys. Obviously, like, subscribe, all that good stuff, if you so feel inclined to.